October 14th, 1994, 03:41 a.m. While the world slept, the Deep Space Network receivers at Goldstone captured something that was never meant to be retrieved. This was not the expected electromagnetic interference or the chaotic roar of Jovian radiation belts. This was a structured, non-periodic pulse, originating from the depths of the Great Red Spot. In the official logs, it was filed as a telemetry glitch, a momentary lapse in signal processing. But the raw data tells a different story. Project Jovian Whisper began the moment we realized the signal possessed a mathematical intent. It wasn't just noise. It was a rhythmic transmission that bypassed every known model of the gas giant. As the high-gain antennas locked onto the coordinates, the needle on the waveform monitor began to trace a pattern that resembled a biorhythm, a heartbeat echoing from a pressure cooker of metallic hydrogen. The initial recovery team reported a strange sensation of pressure within the laboratory, a localized shift in frequency that caused the equipment to hum in a tone that felt fundamentally wrong. We were looking into the eye of a storm, and for the first time in human history, something was looking back. The signal was isolated at 12.5 kHz, a frequency that shouldn't have carried such clarity through the dense Jovian clouds. It was a broadcast from a place where physics should make broadcasting impossible. Document 530A was sealed immediately. The public was told the silence of space remained unbroken. They were lied to. The isolation of the 12.5 kHz frequency was the moment the research turned from a scientific curiosity into a cognitive emergency. When the first layers of Jovian radiation static were peeled away, the sound didn't resemble anything produced by a machine. It was a dense, wet, and suffocating acoustic profile. Underneath the crackling of the ionosphere, the team identified a series of distorted vocalizations, low guttural tones that mimicked the structure of human speech, but were stretched across a terrifying 4-hour loop. These were not words, but the echoes of words, sounds vibrating through a medium much denser than air. Spectral analysis revealed a chilling detail. The waveform didn't just move, it pulsated. It followed the exact rhythmic signature of a human heartbeat. Yet the scale was impossible. It was a pulse so massive, it suggested a biological entity the size of a continent, breathing and thumping deep within the crushing pressures of the Great Red Spot. As the audio technicians increased the gain, the whisper became unmistakable. It sounded like thousands of voices screaming in perfect, terrifying unison. Every 3 minutes, the transmission would drop into a sub-frequency, a vibration so low it couldn't be heard by the ear, only felt in the chest. One recording specialist noted that the static seemed to rearrange itself when played backward, forming a coherent string of syllables that sounded like a name being called from a great distance. We began to realize that the signal wasn't just being broadcasted out into space. It was an invitation, or perhaps a warning of something currently waking up. The descent into madness began at Station 9, a remote monitoring outpost where the silence was supposed to be absolute. Subject 77B, our primary signal analyst, was a man of cold logic, who had spent decades listening to the dead static of the stars. But Jupiter is not dead. After 48 hours of continuous exposure to the unfiltered Jovian Whisper, the biological toll became impossible to ignore. Surveillance footage showed 77B sitting motionless for hours, his headphones fused to his ears, his eyes tracking patterns in the static that no one else could see. He claimed the white noise was actually a dense layer of camouflage, a cosmic veil hiding a set of coordinated telepathic instructions. By the third day, the air in Station 9 felt heavy, thick with the phantom scent of ozone and ancient dust. Subject 77B was gone, leaving only his physical shell behind, curled in the corner of the server room. The walls, the floors, and even the glass of the monitor screens had been meticulously carved. One phrase was repeated thousands of times, etched so deep it drew blood. The eye is open. The security log showed that in his final moments of lucidity, 77B sent a single, outgoing packet back toward the Great Red Spot. We don't know what he sent, but we know the planet responded. The audio feed recorded a sudden, sharp spike in frequency. Station 9 is now a dead zone. Subject 77B remains missing, though the sensors still trigger, as if someone is walking past, humming. While the auditory data was shattering our psychology, the visual telemetry was dismantling our laws of physics, coinciding exactly with the frequency spikes. The infrared sensors on the Galileo orbiter began capturing a thermal anomaly that should not exist. Beneath the swirling, toxic clouds of the Great Red Spot, a shadow began to manifest. This was not a cloud formation. Thermal imaging confirmed a concentrated biological heat signature, a massive, fleeting silhouette moving against the planet's rotation. This entity remained stationary, anchored to a fixed point in the void. It was an eye within the eye. The classified data reveals a terrifying scale. The shadow measured approximately 12,000 kilometers in length. As the radio signal reached its peak, the shadow blinked. For 3 seconds, the feed went completely black. Something had eclipsed the senses. From the inside, internal memos, marked for immediate incineration, described the shape as a biological mass reacting to the radio transmissions from Earth. It was a response. It was a convenient mask for a horrifying truth. We weren't looking at a planet. We were looking at an incubator. If we looked long enough, we would eventually see it clearly. And in the world of the spectral archives, clarity is a death sentence. The visual feeds were cut. The audio channels were purged. But the silence that followed was not a relief. It was a confirmation. The agency initiated Protocol 000, the permanent sealing of all Jovian data and the immediate transition into the restricted wing of the Spectral Archives. We told the world the missions were successes. We told them the silence remained unbroken. We lied to preserve the sanity of a species that isn't ready. The truth is far more parasitic. The signal did not stop because we stopped listening. It stopped because it found a new way to propagate. It is now a cognitive hazard, a frequency virus that lives in the static of your television, the hiss of your radio, and the ringing in your ears. We are no longer monitoring Jupiter. We are monitoring you. If you ever feel a sudden drop in temperature, do not attempt to tune the frequency. The document is now closed, the eye is open, and it is searching for those who know too much. Stay informed. Access the restricted files. Join the collective. Subscribe to the Spectral Archives. We have much more to show you. But remember, you can never truly leave. The archive is watching. You?